Howdy y'all and welcome back to the channel. Now, if you've been following me for a while, then you know that Dune Part 2 is my most anticipated movie of the year. Well, the first reactions are finally out from people that got to see it early, and so today I'm going to be talking about 6 major takeaways that I have from those. Really quick, before I get into my 6 points, if you aren't subscribed and you enjoy this, please subscribe today. It really helps the channel grow and it lets me know that you want to see more stuff like this. Right, the first major takeaway that I have from the first reactions of the movie is that this film has successfully flipped the haters from Part 1. Now look, I thought the first Dune was a masterpiece, but I recognize that for a lot of people, it was too slow, the plot was too confusing, but it seems like, at least on the critic side, the people that thought that way, they find this movie to be more gripping, more action-packed, and a lot easier to follow. It very much feels like Part 1 was kind of setting the table for us, and Part 2 is saying, okay, let's get to the action. Because with a story this vast and this intricate, it can absolutely be alienating for audiences, and I completely understand that. I remember whenever I went and saw Dune the second time in theaters, I took my roommate at the time, and whenever we walked out, I was saying, oh my god, like, didn't you think that was amazing? Isn't that movie incredible? And his first words were, I have no idea what I just watched. Please describe to me what happened. And it sounds like plenty of people had that reaction, but don't worry, it seems like Part 2 is way easier to follow. There's more action, there's less political intrigue, but there's still plenty of that. It's a more even balance from the looks of it. So the fact that this movie was able to bring in the skeptics is a huge indicator to me that we have a good one on our hands. Along those lines, my second major takeaway is that this film is much more action heavy than the first Dune. Now, I heard from people that actually read Dune that the first half of the book is very much what we got on the screen. It's very much setting the table, and that the second half is where most of the action is, and it seems like the movie's following suit there. From all accounts, it's totally epic, amazing battle scenes. The sandworm scenes are especially being praised. I cannot wait to see that. I know that Denis Villeneuve is excellent whenever it comes to the scale of his action scenes, and it seems like this is a true sci-fi epic with a clear balance of politics and action. It's an even distribution in this movie, and whenever we get the action, it is incredible. A lot of critics have even come out and said, good luck to sci-fi movies for the next decade, because this movie is amazing whenever it comes to the epic battle scenes, as well as the weight and the gravity that go along with it. Number 3 is that Zendaya and Timothée Chalamet are incredible in this movie, apparently. I know that there were a lot of people disappointed by the lack of Zendaya in the first movie. She was mostly in visions, and then she, popped up at the end of the film. I, myself, used to be kind of skeptical of Zendaya. I didn't think that she was bad, but really all I had seen her in were the Spider-Man films up to that point. But then I saw Euphoria, and I saw a very specific episode of Euphoria, and I was left there saying Zendaya is one of the best actresses of our generation, and it seems like she truly delivers in this film. Her and Timothée Chalamet's chemistry is getting praised across the board. I wasn't nervous about Chalamet. He is simply, I'll go ahead and say it, he's the best actor of our generation. This guy is going to have multiple Oscars on his mantle whenever he's done. Now, Timothée Chalamet obviously plays the main character of the movie, but Zendaya is a huge driver of the plot as well, so it was really important that these two nailed their characters. We saw what Chalamet could do with Paul in the first movie. It seems like he delivers again, and Zendaya proves why she was cast in Dune. Now, the fourth point should not be a huge shock to any of you, but apparently the visuals are incredible in this movie. I mean, Denis Villeneuve simply knows how to shoot a movie. What I love most about his work is he is great at setting up a sense of scale, right? You know how big those sandworms are. He places our characters in a way to where you can see these things are just massive creatures, and that's just one example across all of his movies. He knows what he's doing. And even if you didn't like the first movie, the visuals are undeniable in the first Dune. Whether it's a huge battle scene or it's people in a room talking, your eyeballs are going to love watching Dune Part 2. What I can't wait for are the sequences on the Harkonnen planet, because in the trailer where they show Austin Butler's character and it's using black and white, it looks wicked. It looks really cool, in stark contrast to the color of other planets in this universe, so I can't wait to see their creativity whenever it comes to that. It looks like they spared no expense. This movie's probably gonna win Best Cinematography, Best Visual Effects, which brings me into my fifth takeaway. Apparently this movie is going to be a frontrunner at next year's Oscars. Whenever I was looking at the first reactions, I'm struggling to find any faults. Everyone's basically saying that this movie is a masterpiece, which obviously I'm happy to hear because it's my most anticipated movie of the year. I love the first one. My big question is, can it carry the momentum into next year's Oscars category? You know, sci-fi, fantasy, superhero films, they infamously have a hard time winning some major categories. You know, they can win technical stuff, but there hasn't been sort of a big genre film winning Best Picture since The Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King 20 years ago. And Denis Villeneuve was snubbed for a Best Director nomination a couple of years ago for the first Dune movie. It seems like he's going to have a hard time getting snubbed, but the biggest thing working against this movie is the fact that it is being released so early on in the year, and it's really hard for a movie to carry that momentum into basically the next year. I mean, this year's Oscars ceremony for last year's movies hasn't even happened, and Dune 2 is coming out. Now, a couple of years ago, Everything Everywhere All at Once was released in April, and it managed to win Best Picture, so you know, it's not impossible. It's just a harder path forward. But the fact that this movie is so good that people are already talking about the Oscars next year should tell you everything you need to know about this movie. And now my sixth point, apparently we're getting a third one, man. I am pumped. Denis Villeneuve came out and said he's already working on the script for the third movie. I wish I hadn't known this information until after I saw Dune Part 2, but apparently Anya Taylor-Joy has a cameo in the movie, and I feel comfortable saying this because it's out there, it's public knowledge, it's not really a leak, and everyone is saying that she's going to play Paul's sister. Now, I don't have that confirmed anywhere. People that went to the premiere, went to early showings, haven't confirmed that from what I've seen, but I mean, who else is she going to play? She's a huge actress. Paul's sister has yet to be shown in the movies. I just don't know how Villeneuve is able to get the best young actors working in Hollywood today all in the same franchise. I mean, we got Timothée Chalamet, Austin Butler, Zendaya, Florence Pugh, and now Anya Taylor-Joy? I mean, this is a murderer's row of people in their mid-20s, or I guess early 30s for Austin Butler. This is a murderer's row of young actors. Now, Dune Part 2 is going to complete the Dune novel, but Villeneuve had come out and said that if he did a third movie, it would be an adaptation of Dune Messiah. I cannot wait for this. If Dune Part 2 lives up to all the reactions that I've been seeing and Dune Messiah is just as good as the first couple of movies, then y'all, we're looking at one of the best trilogies ever made. I'm so beyond excited for Dune Part 2, and the first reactions are making me even more pumped to be in the theater on February 29th whenever I see it opening night. What are your guys' thoughts? Are you excited to see these first reactions? What did you think of the first Dune movie? Leave me a comment down below with your thoughts, and be sure to subscribe if you aren't already. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you next time. Bye, y'all.